Our final episode for today begins with Vash getting dropped off a ways outside of this particular town, with a nice huge cemetery between him and the town. Always good to have some of that local color. As always, Meryl and Millie are already in town, unable to ignore Miss Stephanie nearby winning at poker. I'm guessing it's poker. This is a Western, and she mentions a straight run of the same suit, so it's probably not Tongo. She tries to get Millie and Meryl to join, but when someone crows about winning in a game involving money, best to stay out of it. If nothing else, it will invite the wrong kind of people. You know, like this guy.
High stakes game. The bet is for your life.
See, this isn't a family-friendly game after all. Well, the sheriff is pissed that someone has the nerve to pull this kind of thing in his town.
All right, Dick. Will you inform the Earl of what's going on?
You don't have to call me names, Sheriff. Miss Stephanie is the Earl's daughter, and she's a hostage along with Millie, Meryl, and the bartender, while the gunman has 3 partners, who want 100,000 double dollars and a means to get away. Well, the Earl is outraged. If he pays them, then this is open season on his daughter, and as we've seen, she is not someone who tries to blend into the background. It's a wonder she didn't bring her accordion along today. The irony of this is that the guy's name is Grim Reaper Bostock. Not the guy taking the hostage, the one complaining his daughter is a hostage. And you don't get that name because you made money inventing a better flavor of rum. And his sentiment hasn't changed. He wants his daughter back unharmed, no matter how many guilty or innocent people inside have to die. Luckily, the sheriff isn't going along with this plan. No, we're going to need something better than that. A plan that is brilliant, inspired, with balls of steel and lead to back it up. We need... That's our man. His dancing allows him to dodge the bullets, but in the end...
Please, somebody help!
Well, I guess we got 5 hostages now.
It's a pretty typical way of Vash helping when you get down to it.
Well, hello.
Hello. You know what? I have been going through a lot of hell since I met the two of you.
That's not an incorrect evaluation either. But I think Vash does bring some of this upon himself.
Hey, stop it! Get away from me!
Okay, probably most of it, actually. Stephanie isn't helping matters.
I hope you weren't thinking of demanding anything too extravagant. However, if it's pocket money you want, I'm sure I can easily get that from my daddy.
Pocket money. Damn you! Kill her! I'll kill you right now! Knock it off, Gene!
Although that does seem kind of like an overreaction, don't you think? It won't be that much money. Then I'll blow your fucking head open! 10,000 years! The boss has to rein Gene in, but it turns out that it wasn't necessary. Vash had spit his wad of gum in to block the hammer from striking. Although the boss doesn't know how it got there, and his men are too busy beating Vash for reminding them that he's alive. He may not be for long, though. The sheriff has brought in a squad of mercenaries, all about as stable as a nitroglycerin martini, to be the spear point for this rescue. But what really worries the crooks is when a message comes in saying that Vash the Stampede is in town. They're worried the sheriff might send him in, and that they know that they don't have a chance against him. If only they knew they'd been kicking his ass for the last hour. Well, the wagon and the money finally arrive, but yeah, it's an ambush. We're rescued! Vash manages to get Miss Stephanie down and hidden behind the bar. I'm guessing in the Old West you learn to reinforce that for just such this situation. But there's one poor sod not behind there, and since the only one they're not allowed to shoot is Stephanie, they plan to kill him for the important tactical reason of... 'cause. Vash leaps in, though, has the guy dead to rights, but doesn't pull the trigger, saying in the end just one word: Rem. With his attention span, rapid eye movement does certainly fit. Millie joins in, though, and between her and the usual weirdness that seems to follow Vash around like a morbidly curious puppy, there's only one man left standing, and the surviving bandit puts him down for the count. He's here because of that graveyard that Vash walked through. The locals have spent a decade working the soil before they were finally able to get it capable of growing decent crops. But then Bostock and his goons showed up and murdered them all just so they could take it and they wouldn't complain. So this guy is here to get revenge for that slaughter, and Vash seems to be on their side. Maybe not as far as the slaughtering goes, but he definitely doesn't see this as simply as it had first seemed. He sees to the other bandits, makes sure that they all survive, and then sets up the meet between Bostock and the boss. Well, the shootout. Vash is moved to tears, though, because although the bandit wins, he scores a non-fatal wound on Bostock, though he claims it was just because he was distracted. Still, though, he doesn't put the guy down and instead plans to turn himself in, his point being made. Don't commit genocide and expect not to get a nasty shoulder wound, an important lesson for us all. However, the sheriff has a different ending planned. Turns out he was a member of Bostock's gang back in the day, and being sheriff was all he got out of that. So he's going to just murder them all and say that the bandit did it, before putting him down too. But Vash knows that Meryl is packing more than just what she threw down. She is holdout pistols. Like, a lot of them. Almost like an advertisement for why magazines exist. She disarms all of his men, and Vash dodges his bullet from point-blank range and knocks him down. His official need to submit his resignation.
Repeat carefully after me!
Okay,
This world is made...
this world is
made of!
This world is made of...
Made of love and peace!
Well, what better point to end on than that? Even if we haven't seen a whole lot of either of those two, actually. While this collection of episodes doesn't tell us much about what Vash's story is, they do show us a great deal about who he is. The running theme has been that Vash is a master gunslinger and warrior, and yet doesn't shoot the bad guy. Not ever. He is the humanoid typhoon, and yet, funny enough, the disasters he causes happen because he doesn't just whip out his gun and blow away the villains. He has to go up against ridiculously dangerous men and somehow defeat them another way. This is clearly a choice on his part, and has led to him being unjustly wanted on the one hand, and yet not recognized as an admirable hero on the other. Because to those that would see the legendary Vash as a folk hero, the real man could never hope to emulate him in their minds. It takes a lot of skill to shoot a man in the head with a pistol at 100 yards, so imagine the skill of a man who can, and then opts to leap and jump around until he gets the target to instead trip over his own feet. Yet that is not the image of the Western hero, and thus why the real Vash lives in the shadow of his own legend. I really enjoyed the setting mashup of the Old West with aged high-tech. It gives Trigun a wonderful atmosphere and enhances the experience, even if it is odd that everywhere seems to be pretty much the same so far. The episodes have nevertheless shown that while the general setting may seem more or less static, planet Westworld is full of interesting characters on both sides of the divide. The major villains were all memorable, especially thanks to their unique gear in a lot of the places. The cybernetics of Episode 1 or the car of Episode 3, for example. This not only makes Vash's victories over his heavily outmatched adversaries all the more remarkable, but adds a really nice flavor to the series. We're off to a great start, I think, because, oh yes, there's a lot more left to say about the humanoid typhoon, but we'll have to wait for our next outing of Trigun.